Okay, here we are with the second video about the tragedy of Julius Caesar, Act 3, Scene 2, where Brutus and Antony are giving speeches to the commoners about Caesar's death. Now, we're picking up where Antony is about to start. The last video talked about Brutus and Brutus's speech, which was very quick, very simple, straightforward, whether you agree with me or not, right? If you agree with me, then you're a good Roman. You want what's best for Rome, you love your country, and Caesar had to die. If you don't agree with me, then you're basically a fool. Antony then comes up because Brutus has kind of convinced the people. They kind of bought his line. Antony comes up and says, "For Brutus's sake, I'm beholding to you," meaning I'm indebted to you for your attention, right? Fourth plebeian, what does he say of Brutus? He says, "For Brutus's sake, he finds himself beholding to us all. 'Twere best he speak no harm of Brutus here." So they're really on Brutus's side. They believe from what he said that Caesar was ambitious, overly consumed with power, and had to die. This Caesar was a tyrant. Nay, that's certain. We are blessed that Rome is rid of him. So you can see they're really agreeing with Brutus. Peace, let us hear what Antony can say. You gentle Romans, peace ho, let us hear him. And then here comes a pretty famous line. Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I want you to listen to what I have to say. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. The evil that men do lives after them. The good is often interred with their bones. So let it be with Caesar. Right? That the bad things that people do, we remember those things. We kind of sometimes forget the good that they did, and it gets buried with them, and the bad things remain. So he's going to bury Caesar. He's going to give the speech. He's not here to just say how wonderful he was. The noble Brutus hath told you Caesar was ambitious. If it were so, it was a grievous fault, and grievously hath Caesar answered it, right? He paid the penalty. If he was ambitious, he paid the price. Here under leave of Brutus, meaning I have their permission, and the rest, for Brutus is an honorable man, so are they all honorable men. Now that's a phrase that's going to get repeated throughout this, so pay attention to that for sure. He's saying, remember, he promised to not say anything bad about them, so he says that they are honorable. They've done things for the right reasons. So he says it straight up here, but I want you to pay attention to how this changes with what he's arguing. So are they all honorable men. Come I to speak in Caesar's funeral. He was my friend, faithful and just to me. I had no problem with Caesar. Nothing seemed to be wrong. But Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. So I had no problem with him, but this is what Brutus says. So again, he's repeating this honorable man thing. Caesar has brought many captives home to Rome, whose ransoms did the general coffers fill. Coffers like a bank, right? So Caesar conquered many territories and brought captives or slaves back to Rome, and it's benefited Rome greatly. In fact, it's kind of filled the city coffers, the banks, the economy. Did this in Caesar seem ambitious? And I was asking, well, Brutus said he's honorable, but he did this for the good of Rome, so does he seem ambitious? When that the poor have cried, Caesar hath wept. Ambition should be made of sterner stuff. So he had a heart for the poor. He felt their pain. And if that was ambition, it should have been stronger. Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. So, right, he's giving the examples of not being ambitious, and then he's saying that Brutus says he was ambitious. It's a contrast here, right? To try to make the people what? Doubt that Brutus was telling the truth. You all did see that on the Lupercal I thrice presented him a kingly crown, which he did thrice refuse. Was this ambition? So he's remembering a point earlier in the play where he offered Caesar a crown and Caesar refused it. That was in I think it was in Act 2, Scene 1. Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and sure he is an honorable man. Almost a little doubtful now, right? Because all these examples show that he was not ambitious. I speak not to disprove what Brutus spoke, maybe, but here I am to speak what I do know. You all did love him once, not without cause. Remember at the beginning of the play, they were celebrating Caesar's accomplishments. What cause withholds you then to mourn for him? You cheered for him, you loved him, and now you're glad to be rid of him all of a sudden. Why aren't you mourning his death? O judgment, thou art fled to brutish beasts, and men have lost their reason. Our judgment is gone. You people are not thinking clearly, right? Bear with me. My heart is in the coffin there with Caesar, and I must pause till it comes back to me. So he's acting like he's overcome with emotion, and he has to be like, I kind of got overworked there. I need to take a moment and catch my breath and blink back the tears. First plebeian, methinks there is much reason in his saying. So he's getting to them. They're like, maybe he wasn't ambitious, right? If thou considered rightly of the matter, Caesar has had great wrong. Has he, masters? I fear there is a worse come into his place. All of a sudden, they're like, oh, Caesar's gone, and so who's going to come next? Who's going to step in and fill the void? Marked ye his words? He would not take the crown. Therefore, 'tis certain he was not ambitious. So they are doubting Brutus's argument now. If it be found so, some will dear abide it. In other words, if he wasn't ambitious and he was killed, someone's going to pay. A poor soul, now they're looking at Antony. His eyes are red as fire with weeping. There is not a nobler man in Rome than Antony. So they are now kind of coming around to Antony's side. Now mark him, he begins to speak. So now he's going to speak about Caesar. But yesterday the word of Caesar might have stood against the world. Now he lies there, and none so poor to do him reverence. Yesterday he was like this amazing power that you all loved, and now you won't even grieve for him. O masters, if I were disposed to stir your hearts and minds to mutiny and rage, I should do Brutus wrong and Cassius wrong, who you all know are honorable men. So he's keeping with this theme of they're honorable. Of these men being honorable, right? But now it rings hollow. So he's saying, if I wanted to make you mad and I wanted to make you turn against them, I would be doing them wrong, right? So I will not do them wrong. I rather choose to wrong the dead. So I'm going to blame Caesar, to wrong myself. I'm going to blame and you. So he's saying the common people let this happen. Then I will wrong such honorable men. So I'm not going to dishonor them, which on the surface, he's saying that, but underneath, it's completely different, right? And then he brings out this little bait. But here's a parchment with the seal of Caesar. I found it in his closet. 'Tis his will. So he's going to show them Caesar's will. Let but the commons, let the plebeians or the common people, let you hear what he says in the will, which, pardon me, I do not mean to read. Like, here's the will, but, I didn't mean to read it, right? If you heard this, you would go and kiss dead Caesar's wounds and dip their napkins in his sacred blood, and yea, beg a hair of him for memory, and dying mention it in their wills, bequeathing it as a rich legacy unto their issue, to their heirs. So if you know what Caesar is going to do for you, you would kiss his dead body, you would kind of try to take a sample of his blood, you would take a hair and you would put it away, and later on you would give it to your kids as like this huge inheritance. A little exaggeration, right? Of course, when he says this, we will hear the will. Read it, Mark Antony, the will. We will hear the will. Have patience, gentle friends. I must not read it. It is not meet you know how Caesar loved you. It's not right to know how much he loved you, right? You are not wood, you are not stones, you have hearts, right? But men. And being men, hearing the will of Caesar, it will inflame you, it will make you mad. So if I let you, you're going to get angry if you hear this. So you shouldn't hear it. So it's kind of building up the tension, right? And this is great. 'Tis good you know not that you are his heirs, for if you should, oh, what would come of it? It's good you don't know that you're his heirs. Doesn't that just tell them that they are his heirs, right? Read the will, we will hear it, Antony. You shall read us the will, Caesar's will. They want to know now. He's kind of baited them sufficiently. Will you be patient? Will you stay a while? I have overshot myself. I've gone too far to tell you of it. I fear I wrong the honorable men. Again, he's bringing out this honorable men, but they are not wanting to hear that at this point. Whose daggers have stabbed Caesar. I do fear it. So he has the pretense, he's still pretending that he's honoring the agreement he made to not wrong them, right? And here's what they say to that. They were traitors, honorable men. The will, the testament. They were villains, murderers. The will, read the will. They have no allegiance anymore to Brutus. They want to hear the will and how wronged Caesar was. So he says, you will compel me to read the will? Then make a ring about the corpse of Caesar, and let me just show you him that made the will. Shall I descend, and will you give me leave? So he wants to come down to the body and put it on display before he tells them, right? He's trying to work them up some more. Oh, come down, they say, descend. You shall have leave. A ring stand around. So they kind of move away from Caesar's body, and he comes down. Stand from the hearse, stand from the body. Room for Antony, most noble Antony. Antony says, nay, press not so upon me. Stand far off. Give me room to speak. Stand back, room, bear back. So here's what he says when he's down by Caesar's body. If you have tears, prepare to shed them now. You all know this mantle, his cloak, right? His toga. You've seen this. I remember the first time ever Caesar put it on. 'Twas on a summer's evening in his tent, the day he overcame the Nervii. So he's remembering this battle that Caesar won, and he saw him put on this cloak, and it was like significant. He's painting a picture here. So here's the significant cloak, and now he's going to point out what the conspirators, the assassins, have done. Look, in this place ran Cassius's dagger through. See what a rent or what a tear the envious Casca made. Though through this the well-beloved Brutus stabbed, and as he plucked away his cursed steel, mark how the blood of Caesar followed it. So all these puncture wounds through this cloak that killed Caesar. And then he focuses on Brutus, remember, because Brutus is the one that made the speech and was supposedly Caesar's friend. Mark how the blood of Caesar followed Brutus's stab, as rushing out of doors to be resolved. Like the blood was just rushing out to finish this. If Brutus so unkindly knocked, or no, for Brutus, as you know, was Caesar's angel, right? Let's remember how Caesar trusted him, how Caesar loved him. Judge, O you gods, how dearly Caesar loved him. This was the most unkindness cut of all. It was because it was a betrayal, right? For when the noble Caesar saw him stab in gratitude, like it wasn't the stabbing that killed him, it was the betrayal, that Brutus was so ungracious, more strong than traitor's arms, quite vanquished or overcame him. Then burst his mighty heart. And in his mantle, muffling up his face, in other words, his cloak covered his face up, right? Even at the base of Pompey's statue, which all the while ran blood, great Caesar fell. So the traitorous betrayal here is what killed him. And what a fall was there, my countrymen. Then I and you and all of us fell down while bloody treason flourished over us. So we all fell today because of this treason, right? Oh, now you weep. So they've been overcome. They see the body, they see the blood, they see what happened here. I perceive you feel the dint, right? The force of pity. These are gracious drops. So it's kind of you to weep for him. Kind souls, what weep when you behold our Caesar's vesture wounded, when you see his clothing. Look here. Here is himself marred, as you see, with traitor. So he pulls the cloak away and the whole body is exposed. So now they're all looking at the murdered corpse. Piteous spectacle, O noble Caesar, woeful day. Now they get angry. Traitors, villains, must bloody sight, will be revenged. And then they go on this rant. Revenge, about, seek, fire, burn, kill, slay. So he's working them up into like a mob frenzy here. And then he says, stay, countrymen. Peace, hear the noble Antony. We'll hear him, we'll follow him, we'll die with him. They are now completely won over to Antony's side. But he has one last little tweak here, right? Good friends, sweet friends, let me not stir you up to such a flood and mutiny. They that have done this deed are honorable. Okay, so he just kind of turns the knife, metaphorically speaking, in the wound that they've been duped here, right? What private griefs they have, alas, I know not. I don't know why they did this, that made them do it. They're wise and honorable and will no doubt with reasons answer you. So they are so mad they don't want to hear the reasons, but he's kind of pretending to be calm here. I come not, friends, to steal away your hearts. Now this is interesting because now he's doing a comparison with him and Brutus and their motivation and their intent. I'm no orator as Brutus is. I'm not a good speaker, even though his argument was pretty darn good, right? But as you know me all, a plain, blunt man that love my friend, and that they know full well that gave me public leave to speak of him. I'm just a buddy of Caesar. I just loved him, and they said I could speak, so, I'm just sharing my heart, people. For I have neither writ nor words nor worth, action nor utterance, nor the power of speech to stir men's blood. He's like downplaying his ability to convince and argue for people. I only speak right on. I only just tell you the truth, right? I tell you that which you yourselves know. Show you sweet Caesar's wounds, poor dumb mouths, and bid them speak for me. I'm just laying out the facts. Now here's the interesting part. But were I Brutus and Brutus Antony, if I was Brutus and he were me, that would be an Antony that would ruffle up your spirits and put a tongue in every wound of Caesar's that should move the stones of Rome to rise in mutiny. In other words, Brutus is a manipulator. He could totally manipulate you to rise to mutiny, which ironically Antony has done. They say, we'll mutiny, we'll burn the house of Brutus, away then, come seek the conspirators. And Antony's still holding them back. Yet hear me, countrymen, yet hear me speak. They stay again, peace ho, hear Antony, most noble Antony. Why, friends, you go to do you know not what? Wherein has Caesar deserved your loves? Alas, you know not. I must tell you, then you forgot the will. So now he's going to lay it on thick and tell them the will. Most true the will, let's stay and hear the will. So here is the will under Caesar's seal. To every Roman citizen he gives, to every several man, 75 drachmas. So everybody gets money. Most noble Caesar will revenge his death. O royal Caesar, he's not done. Hear me with patience, Antony says. Peace ho. Moreover, he hath left you all his walks, his private arbors, and new planted orchards on this side Tiber. He has left them you and to your heirs forever. Common pleasures, public places of recreation, to walk abroad and recreate yourself. He's given you all of his land. It's to become public property where you can go and walk through it and enjoy everything. Here was a Caesar. When comes such another? There's never been a man like this, right? Never, never come away. We'll burn his body in the holy place, and with brands, with the torches, fire the traitors' houses, take up the body, go fetch fire, pluck down benches, pluck down forms. All of this stuff, they're going nuts. They're going off to riot, right? To riot and to kill the traitors. Antony lets them leave with the body and says, now let it work. Mischief, personification of mischief, thou art afoot. Take thou what course thou wilt. So he doesn't know what they're going to do because he's just wound them up as tight as he could and set them out to just see what happens, right? And then he has time during the riots to plan what he wants to do. Here comes a servant. Sir Octavius, is Caesar's nephew, is already come to Rome. Where is he? He and Lepidus are at Caesar's house. And there will I straight to visit him. He comes upon a wish. All right, I'm glad someone is here as an ally. Fortune is merry, and in this mood will give us anything. So things are going our way to revenge Caesar. If you remember his soliloquy, Antony is planning on revenge. I heard him say Brutus and Cassius are rid or have run out like madmen through the gates of Rome. So they know the people have turned against them, and they are on their way out. Belike they had some notice of the people how I had moved them. Bring me to Octavius. So Antony's going to go meet with another leader and make plans to stabilize and get revenge on Caesar. So if you have any questions, comments about this scene down below, be happy to help out. Hopefully this was helpful for you. Thanks for watching.